Hello, and welcome to another Fantasy Premier League video. My name is Steve, and first and foremost, if you weren't aware, Eduardo Bove from Fiorentina collapsed in the field over the weekend. Now, I haven't had this channel very long, but this is already the second time that I've spoken about a player who has collapsed on the football pitch mid-game. The first was Tom Lockyer from Luton Town in December, just 1 year ago. Now, this is not a political channel, but sometimes we need to give a little bit of airtime to important topics like this. And all I can say is that I sincerely hope that proper investigations are completed into what we all know has happened. And if you're not aware of what's going on, Lockyer and Bove are not the only two people to collapse on a field, court, or sporting arena around the world since 2021. Many sportsmen and women have been affected, yet it's very rarely discussed as a topic. All I can do is let people know that it is happening, and if you want to see the gut-wrenching extent to which it is occurring, please do a search on YouTube and you'll see collages of video footage of many young athletes who have fallen victim around the world. My prayers are with the young 22-year-old and his family, friends, and his teammates who were noticeably shaken by the event. I hope Eduardo Bove makes a full and speedy recovery. So, getting back to the Premier League, we're heading into Gameweek 14 tomorrow with our first midweek deadline of the season. Now, I'm off the back of another 84-pointer, making it two huge green arrows back to back. Now, that's taken me from 4.2 million all the way up to 1.8 million in just 2 weeks after a horror start to the 24-25 campaign. That's a rank rise of 2.4 million places in just 2 short weeks. So today I've got Konate still in my team, who is now going to be out for weeks. I've also got a super light bench, one free transfer, and 1.8 million in the bank. So today we'll be covering off what the options are. So before we jump into it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, especially if you get any value out of the following content. Right, so we'd very quickly go through a game week 13 review. Now I'm actually using the live site today because I broke my local site a couple of days ago and I haven't actually had time to fix it yet, as I've been relatively busy with the contract work that I've been doing in across the weekend. So last week I did bring Saka in, and that worked an absolute treat. Now he could have had slightly more had he not given that first penalty away to Martin Odegaard. He actually came in as my top scorer for the week. And if you didn't catch my last video, I was tossing up whether to captain Palmer or Saka in game week 13. And the captaincy did actually stick on Palmer, so I could have been 4 points better off had I switched it over to Saka. But those are the slim margins that we are playing with. Now, of course, Palmer did do extremely well in the game week as well, coming away with 14 points, scoring an absolute beauty of a goal from outside the 18-yard box. Quick change of direction, whipped it in with his left foot, top bins. It's exactly the type of goal that we've come to see Palmer score over the last season and a half. And he did manage to outscore Salah by just the 1 point. Of course, every point is quite valuable, but it was a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. It was actually a penalty that Salah pulled in memory, I think that was pretty late in the game as well. I was actually going through, I actually only managed to catch the highlights of that game, and it was quite late in the piece where Salah picked up his pen. Jackson, Nicholas Jackson, is actually becoming my hero. He scored again quite early on in the game and managed to dodge picking up his fifth yellow card for yet another game. That's quite a few goals and assists in the last couple of game weeks. Still managing to dodge that yellow card. Now, I did actually get a couple of comments in the video last week. I should have actually probably brought those up. There's a few of you out there that were mentioning that potentially Nicholas Jackson was going to end up taking a tactical yellow card in order to get himself suspended for the Southampton match in game week 14. Now, to be honest, I don't think that they're actually going to do that at all. You typically want to avoid getting your first choice striker suspended for a match. Yeah, I'm not too sure why people think he was gonna, he was looking to get a tactical yellow card. Look, he's gonna want to play as much football as he possibly can. So will Maresca, and he will be in his ear to obviously say, don't go getting yourself any more yellow cards for dissent. You've only got a few game weeks left until you get to game week 19. And those yellow cards get extended out into, I think it's 10 yellows before he would pick up that suspension. So I wouldn't be too concerned about Jackson trying to get himself yellow carded on purpose moving forward. But he does come away with only 6 points as he was pulled off in the 70-minute mark in this match. Now, this is probably to avoid getting that fifth yellow card, to be honest. And so if you are at all looking at Nicholas Jackson, it does look like they're very, very carefully trying to manage him through to game week 19 without him picking up his fifth yellow. And I do see him picking up actually quite a lot of transfers in, given his recent returns. And I think less and less managers are concerned about that fifth yellow card. Of course, he could still pick it up, though, and so you do need a bit of a plan as to what you were going to do there. Gabriel was the only other man in my team who did pull in some returns. He is an absolute goat at set pieces. That headed goal that he scored, it's actually pretty smart. If you look at where all the Arsenal lads lined up, they actually lined up way, not close to the edge of the penalty box, but like way by the byline, but way further away from goal. And they all start running in towards goal. And if you look at the way that was defended, like you've got defenders kind of looking over their shoulders, trying to figure out where these men are running from. And Gabriel just manages to find himself in space heaps of occasions. He's got a pretty lethal head on him. He's probably the best header of the ball in the box in the Premier League. I mean, Virgil van Dijk got his head to like 3 set pieces at the weekend. I don't think he managed to get any of them on target either. Whereas Gabriel had a much harder chance where he actually had to knot it down and glance at far post to keep it away from the keeper. And he did it perfectly. He also managed to grab himself the assist for getting punched in the head, which ended up getting the penalty, which Saka actually did end up standing up to take. So Saka got himself that second penalty. And everyone else in my team blanked. Konate obviously didn't make it onto the pitch, and so I got the auto sub in for FaZe, who conceded himself 4 goals for a -2, putting him on 0 points. FaZe has just been absolutely woeful whenever I've had to call on him. He's had 1 goal scored the whole time he's been playing, one clean sheet, and everything else has been like 1-1-1-2-0-1-1-2-1-0-0. It's just horrific. There's almost no point in actually having him on the bench. Hopefully Greaves will be back sometime soon, and I can actually have a little bit more coverage on the bench. So game week 13, I got 84 points with the average of 60. Another sub-million game week rank and 700,000 places up for game week 13. So let's take a look at game week 14, and the main issue in my team is Konate, of course. Now, Konate is actually going to be out for a few weeks, and there's actually no timeline being put on exactly how long he's going to be out for with his knee injury. Now, I did say in the video last week that knee injuries are quite hard to judge as to exactly how severe they are due to the fact that it is your knee and there's not a hell of a lot of muscle in there. It's just a lot of ligaments and a joint. Sometimes you can come back from those very quickly. Other times they can be way more severe and keep you out for weeks and weeks on end. Now, there's actually a lot of game weeks to come in pretty quick succession. So we've got game week 14 midweek this week, game week 15 at the weekend. We then have only a few Premier League games. I think there's some Champions League and European matches midweek. So we've got the 8th, 15th, 23rd, which are all 1 week apart. Then a shorter week close to Christmas, and then another midweek across New Year's, which will be game week 19. So there's actually quite a few game weeks coming up, and it's actually a couple. I think that the timeline that was floated was a few calendar weeks for Konate, so it could be up to 4 to 5 game weeks in FPL. Now, my initial reaction was that I was just tempted to bench Konate and ride it out, as I'm probably going to want him straight back in when he's fit again. Now, I picked Konate up for 5.0 million, which is actually ridiculous value for a nailed-on asset in that immensely defensive Liverpool backline. However, the lack of options of where I actually want to go with a defensive replacement does have me leaning towards selling him now that I've actually weighed up the options. Now, if I want to stick to investing in the Liverpool defense, and if I want to buy someone like Virgil van Dijk, I would have to sell Konate, as I don't actually have the funds to go up from either Faze or Greaves. Faze I got at 4.1, Greaves I got at 4.0, and I only have 1.8 million in the bank. So I wouldn't be able to go from Faze or Greaves up to Virgil and just stick Konate on the bench and hope that he comes back pretty quickly. So if I was going to stick to the Liverpool defense, I actually have enough funds to go from Konate all the way up to Trent Alexander-Arnold, which would actually use all of the 1.8 million that I do have sitting in the bank. Now, so I can sell Konate for 5.1 million. He has actually already dropped from 5.4 to 5.3, giving me the sale value of 5.1. Not that that makes too much of a difference to me now. But if I want to go to Trent, he's currently listed at 6.9 million. And I do have exact funds to go straight to Trent Alexander-Arnold. However, what I said in the video last week was I don't actually want to invest a hell of a lot more money into my defensive line, as I am looking to upgrade Stewart to help have a bit more depth on my, or useful depth on my bench for the upcoming fixture congestion across the busy Christmas period. So do I really want to ditch Konate and end up going all the way up to Trent Alexander-Arnold? Now, the best alternative that I can see in defense is to go and get Cucurella, who has been incredibly attacking in that Chelsea defensive line. Cucurella actually came away, I think, with an assist. He came away with 11 points in Gameweek 13. Picking up an assist, clean sheet, and 2 bonus points. He's actually been incredibly attacking for the last few game weeks without gusto in the side. And with the fixture run that Chelsea do have, and the fact that they've got Southampton in game week 14, that seems like a much better fixture to be buying into for game week 14, as opposed to sticking with Liverpool and going into the Newcastle away fixture, which is going to be a much more difficult fixture, especially without Konate in the team. And Alexander Isak, has also declared himself fit for this Liverpool fixture as well. Cucurella looks like a much better player to buy into. He does have, I think, a lot more open play. Sorry about that. My audio software just did a 5-second reset, so you probably just, that last bit just got cut off slightly. But I was saying that I think I'm going to go towards Cucurella instead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I do think Cucurella comes with a lot more open play threat. Trent does have his share of the set pieces, but he is also coming back from injury. He did get 70 minutes at the weekend. Subbed off for Jarell Quansah, of all people, which is really weird, chucking in Quansah at right back. I think he's actually, I'm not even sure if he actually stuck to right back, if he was doing some sort of inversion at that point. Totally weird substitute, by the way. And so that early sub makes me also think that he could still be slightly nursing that injury, and with a very quick turnaround of games, do we really want to buy into Trent and take the risk that he goes and potentially gets himself re-injured, having to play another at least 60 minutes plus, you would have thought, in a very short turnaround, and then also have another quick turnaround for another game at the weekend? I mean, Trent's a great player. Not many managers are going to be able to probably get to him too quickly, so he will be a bit of a differential, but I think Cucurella is also going to be a huge differential, and is probably just more bang for buck. And the Chelsea fixtures are also pretty good, apart from the Spurs away fixture in game week 15, which is at the weekend with a short turnaround. I mean, it's Southampton away in 14, Spurs away in 15, but then Brentford at home, Everton away. Okay, Fulham at home. It is a home game, but Fulham have been attacking relatively well. Ipswich away, Palace away. Palace have been horrible for a while. Bournemouth at home, Wolves at home. I mean, it's just a sick run of fixtures for Chelsea. And given all of these teams can concede, especially Spurs as well, these are all teams that are conceding lots of goals. Cucurella could get himself pretty high up onto the left wing, start to get himself potentially a couple more assists across this period. At the moment, I'm actually leaning towards bringing Cucurella in straight for Konate instead of upgrading Faze or Greaves, hoping that Greaves comes back, because Faze at Leicester is just basically useless, and holding on to the 1.8 million that I do have in the bank, which would go up to 1.9 million with the sale of Konate, which will help me upgrade Stewart for the busy Christmas period, which will allow me to bench Rodgers on occasion. I think that's the way that I am leaning at the moment. So just quickly to cover off captaincy for game week 14. Now Liverpool absolutely crushed Man City at the weekend, from what I can see. And they could have scored a lot more goals. The stats coming out of that game were just ridiculous. It's not the kind of stats that you would have assumed you would have seen attached to a City team. Now, I put the bus captaincy straight on Salah, and the main reason that I've done that is he's just so consistent. He's so consistent, getting to the point that it's just too hard to ignore. And even though Newcastle is a more tough fixture than Southampton away, which I've got the vice captaincy on Palmer at the moment, I think Salah's probably just got a higher ceiling than Palmer. I mean, this is another one of those ones that's going to go down to the wire. As you could probably tell, I haven't had a hell of a lot of time to think this through. And so hopefully speaking this through on camera, it's going to give me a little bit more clarity about where I'm going to chuck the captain's chip. But Newcastle, I reckon, are ripe for the taking. Liverpool are just humming. They are cruising in these matches. And although Chelsea is doing quite well as well, Palmer didn't get a hell of a lot of, big opportunities in that match. And it did take a shot from outside the box. I mean, it was still a beautiful shot, but I think he only got like maybe was it 2 shots on target in that match? What did he come away with in terms of XG? Yeah, 0.41 XG against Aston Villa. I mean, of the highlights I saw, there were only a couple of shots that he took, and they were, not huge chances. And I think Salah's just more likely to get in and amongst it this weekend. I mean, I could also make a case for chucking the captain's armband on Saka yet again. Although I think Arsenal are going to have a lot more joy down their left-hand side of the pitch, which is Manchester United's right-hand side of the pitch. And that is largely because Amad Diallo has been playing in that right wing back position, and his defending is not great. There was a couple of times at the weekend where I mean, talk about diving in, just launching himself into these, trying to nick the ball off players in which he should just be, cutting off space, cutting off angles, not even going anywhere near the man, and just making him play sideways or backwards. So I think Arsenal are going to have a lot of joy down their left-hand side of the pitch, which who knows, maybe that ends up being like just great crossing opportunities from the left, and it's Saka that's ghosting and bar post to come in and finish these chances. And of course, Arsenal are at home, but I think Manchester United are probably going to try and defend this one out, hopefully try to steal some sort of 1-0 victory or something along those lines. And so I think it's really between Salah and Palmer this week. And at the moment, I've got the armband sticking on Salah, and I think that is probably going to stick when the deadline rolls around early tomorrow morning. Now, my team's actually looking pretty strong heading into the game week. I mean, I do still have a double up on the Arsenal defense with coming up against Manchester United at home. Gabriel is still flagged because he was brought off early as a precaution because he is still recovering from that injury that he sustained a couple of weeks ago. But he's definitely going to start this weekend. He didn't come off because he was injured or re-injured. It was just a precautionary sub. Pedro Porro is away to Bournemouth. I will have Cucurella away to Southampton as my third defender. Rodgers at home to Brentford. Brentford have been shipping a ton of goals. Hopefully he can get himself involved in a couple of assists or whatever. Salah away to Newcastle. Palmer away to Southampton. Saka at home to United. And Bumo, who didn't get awarded the fantasy assist for, I can't remember, one of Shada's goals, I think, at the weekend because they determined that he was actually aiming for Wissa. A little bit unfortunate, but of course, Mbumo is still going to stick in my team. I do think I am actually going to sell him though sometime soon, potentially even for Matoma, to get some more funds out and have a much better upgrade option for Stewart, using that 1.8 million and some more funds out of Mbumo. That's a tentative future move. Nicholas Jackson, my huge differential, away to Southampton. I'm really hoping for another double-digit return from him, because he is the man that has vastly contributed to my massive gain of rank over the last couple of game weeks. And then João Pedro away to Fulham, with Faze and Greaves on the bench. Now, I will check in a little bit later on tonight, see what kind of comments come through. So if you do want a response to your comments, get them in early, and I'll respond to some comments before I go to bed. And good luck to all of you out there this week. I'll be back again on maybe Thursday or Friday to squeeze in another video before the game week 15 deadline. But all right, well, that wraps up this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave us a comment to tell us what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.